So on Thursdays, we like to discuss matters that touch the heart, family and relationships. And there was a celebrity recently, Gideon Okeke, who published a letter actually to single mothers. According to him, he protested the fact that many single mothers fail to allow their children to have a relationship with their father. And many went on to comment on that because, in a nutshell, what he was saying is that the men slave so hard to take care of these children, but the mothers, because of the strained relationship between them, the men, and the women in this relationship, the children are affected and they don't have a relationship with their father. We can also connect that with a story, with a tweet actually from a gentleman called Mr. Yinka Chukwuemeka Ogunubi. He also tweeted about a friend he had who, after a divorce, was still slaving to raise his children, sending money to them to have their upkeep. Then eventually he had a stroke, and even with that condition, medical condition, he was still sending money to care for his children. Eventually he died, and he was the only friend that used to approach him because he was so frustrated. I mean, people didn't like being around him because he was always angry. You know, obviously all the burden that he was going through was upon him, such that he had such a bad temper. But he was with the few that were willing to be his friend, and then knew his pains, his hurts, and all he wanted to do with that tweet was let the children know how much their father loved them before he passed on. So this brings us to the conversation about adults being separated from each other, forgetting to care for the children. How do we ensure that even though two adults are not compatible or they've chosen to divorce, how do we ensure the emotional well-being of the children are not affected? That's really the conversation we're going to have in this morning. You can join us and call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. Let me come to us, and I want us to be very careful because I don't want us to judge. We're not in any of these women's situation because many of them, I always believe that no woman would ever want to really do anything to hurt her children intentionally, you know. But some women go through so much pain, which we cannot even imagine, you know. And when they make certain choices, we have to be very careful on how we judge or assume they did this wrong or did that wrong. But what are your thoughts when you hear these kind of stories? Let me come to you, BC. What comes to mind, and how do you think it can be better approached?
So we're not judging, but I think every adult needs to understand that no one parent owns a child more than the other parent. A child belongs to both people who have come together, decided to spend their lives together, decided to bring the seed to life. And every decision that happens after the marriage goes awry, after it goes bad, must put the children's emotional well-being into number one priority. It's not about you anymore. It's about the children that you have given birth to. And I know, and science has also shown, that children are formed and do better with both parents together, right? In an ideal situation, children develop better with both parents together. Now, if anything happens and one parent has to go, move somewhere else, marry another person, you must ensure that that parent is not lacking in the life of the children. So there are different scenarios. Sometimes the father can just disappear and run away. You don't see him. That's a different scenario. But if the father is not a deadbeat, the father is ready to be present, you must have a conversation on how to effectively co-parent so that your children do not lose. I like how Gideon said it, vitamin daddy or vitamin mommy. Your children do not lose that vitamin, do not lose that relationship with that parent. If the man is maybe a mad person, is a drunk.
So let's come to that.
No, hold on. You can find a way to separate it, but his family must be involved. There must be somebody or some people present from that side of the family for the children, for that emotional well-being. That's just my opinion.
That's it, because I like to believe that every woman in her right thinking wouldn't want to separate a responsible man who cares for his children. A lot of times,
it's Gideon Okeke not responsible.
But we don't know. We don't know him outside. We don't know his anger issues. We don't know the kind of person he is behind closed doors. So there are different kind of men there. But let me come to you. What are your thoughts on this? Initial thoughts.
So I feel divorce separation is a tough thing. And, sometimes how, we express that, put the children's emotional well-being first. And we have to recognize for those who do it, they're doing a fantastic job of it. Because it means to put yourself, your ego, down for the well-being of your children. You're sacrificing. And sometimes I talk about this tough love, where parents are willing to look bad or be insulted just for the well-being of their children, to give them a chance. So first of all, we acknowledge that and we appreciate that. But then for those who are still struggling to make it, and struggling to make that decision, like they cannot take away the hurt as a husband or as a wife that she's committed, that I'm feeling right now from, the whole situation. I also believe that this is a journey. It takes a while, but it's good to talk about it so that you know where you are headed. Many of us, especially in Nigerian setting, a lot of the ways we deal with relationships is just by feeling, do it this way, do it that way. But when you see like all these Hollywood stars, they seem to have found a regulated way to do it. The co-parenting word that it's something that we heard from them. They will have a schedule. What days are you holding the child? What days are you? So it gives you a chance to be both involved. But when you go by feeling, today I remembered what he did to me that day. So he's not going to see the child. Do you understand? But if the court has said 3 days is his own, 2 days is yours, this one holiday. So let's think about that. There's also another way I'm seeing divorces go, where we have trashed us, but right now we're going to do our best to have a cordial relationship for the sake of the children. So for us here in Nigeria and Africa, I feel that this is the best way to think about it. You may be in the thick of things now, you're not even thinking anyway, but eventually when you come out of that, think about the children and know that in the end, the benefit of raising children that are well-rounded and cared for by both parents, the fact that you made that sacrifice, you would enjoy it. Right now your feelings and emotions may be all over the place, but it's for a short time.
While you were talking, I was thinking the fact that, let's talk about the deadbeat dads, because usually I like to believe that it's usually in this kind of cases. There's not all cases, but usually in this kind of cases where you have mothers saying, I am not letting my child get involved. Hitler was a father. Osama bin Laden was a father. So these are fathers that maybe I'm saying, so you could have been the worst person in the world to the whole of the globe, like you are the most wanted human being. But as a father, are you a father? Is that deadbeat man capable of being a father? Because a lot of times we don't tend to separate it. So let's discuss those men who are irresponsible. So he doesn't pay his children's school fees. He doesn't care for them. He just had the kids and he just moved on to be with other women, philandering all around the world. Let's paint the worst case scenario. Now, as a woman, even though you have that, does it still justify your separating the children from their father? That's the conversation. Even if you are justified for the kind of person that he is it still right for you to allow them to separate from their father?
So I think there are extreme cases. I've heard stories of a man who wanted to do rituals with his children. And in that kind of case, you will be a mad woman to say, let us co-parent, when you know his tendencies. He's a ritualist, something. He's planning to use one of the children to do something. You would protect your children. But there were ways that our parents used to solve these issues back in the day before we started hearing this English of co-parenting, have a schedule and all that. It's like you said, it's still very Western and we're still trying to absorb it. But then when these sort of issues happen where parents are no longer together, they'll just package the children and take them to grandma, depending on the side of the grandma that is ready to take care of the child. So it could be the man's parents or the woman's parents, and then they can sort out their issues, ease into their different lives again, come and visit their children from time to time. It was our traditional way of handling it so that the child does not suffer some type of trauma with this separation, because when this separation and divorce, you think they are children, they are paying attention. It's eating them deep inside. Some of them start doing very badly in school. Teachers are wondering, this used to be a very bright child. All of a sudden, he doesn't do his homework. He doesn't, pay attention. His mind is always lost. while in the classroom, what's happening, you know, it affects the children deeper than we understand. And so the family support that you have will, first of all, take the child away from you, the two of you that are coloing, and take care of that child. And then by the time you guys are sorted, you can now decide to come back and say, okay, I want to take this child or I want to take that other child. Africans have, you know, found a way. But now we have a crop of women who believe that they cannot leave their children with mommy or daddy anymore. Everybody wants to be with their child, especially if they have the means to. And that's why you need to start having proper conversations on how to liaise with this person. But if he's actually a dangerous deadbeat father,
So, let me go on a
please,
break. Okay.
nobody will sit here and advise you to co-parent with that kind of person. But you must find a family member who will stand in the gap, male preferably, stand in the gap so that the child doesn't lose so much from that side.
See, I'll go on a break because I know Miriam said something. Pride and ego is a major factor. Because still on this matter of fathers not being involved in their children's upkeep because of the decision of the mother. I would like to link this to what I said earlier, pride and ego, especially because the story by the other Mr. Ogunobi, Yinka, the tweet by him was saying that the father had a stroke. And even in that condition, he was still paying school fees, taking care of his children, and he never got an opportunity to see this children before he died. When we talk about ego, either on the part of the mother or the part of the father, how do we discuss how to suppress your feeling? There's a lot of anger. You expect the other person to come forward, to come and apologize or to acknowledge, because a lot of these things is just you acknowledging that I did you wrong.
Yes.
Just say, you know what, I goofed.
Yeah.
I messed up. I cheated on you. I did this to you. However, I want a relationship with my children. You know, that sentence in itself uplifts and lifts a lot of burden off any recipient. I mean, but why is it so difficult for either men or women
To be the bigger man?
out, to be the bigger person?
It's not easy to be the bigger person. Being the bigger person, you know, there's also a way that is being interpreted, which is there was a time I felt that you were praised or complimented for doing that. You know, put all ego aside and, you know, let's have a talk about this. I'm willing to let go of whatever hurt or whatever misunderstanding because I'm looking at the bigger picture. But then you now found, until she came to beg me. I mean, I can never agree. So the bigger person say, that is how you're looking at it. So I guess we have a shortage of bigger persons now because of that. But really, when it has to do with your children, in this case, I think that every parent should just think about the bigger picture, the children. And that is really about ego and pride. But you know, there was something you had asked before we went on break, which is, who is a deadbeat father? You named some examples. And I'm saying that bad citizens who end up in prison have their children go to visit them in prison. You can be a criminal, you can be a drug dealer, you can be a murderer, and still be a fantastic father in some way. Yeah. You know, they see you behind bars for the consequences of your actions. Yeah. They're able to separate that, learn from it, you know, or be inspired by it, however, you know, but it's important that and when you see that, so it shows you that it's important that you look at people beyond one lens. So you have a father, you have a husband, you have a diplomat or a fraudster in government, you know, and give the people opportunities to show up for the people that know a certain side of them, especially with the children. But there's some group of people that I feel you should just stay far away from if they're fathers. I don't care how great a father is, but a pedophile is not a good father.
That's so.
I don't care how great a father is, but someone who emotionally and physically abuses the children to the point of, you know, ending up in jail because of it or in hospital, that is not someone that you want to have that sort of relationship with. And in cases like that, you may want to just protect the children while they're young, you know, while they can't even understand this person, and then give them, then when they are old enough, they are able to build a relationship as adults where that person cannot hurt them. But people can be.
I get that because there are situations where when you know your spouse or somebody else, somebody you're with is going to be very dangerous for the children. Your own job, therefore, is to find a way to get them to seek help. you know, you have to solve this because all this pedophilia are all emotional issues that
Even
can be
a drug addict, you are there taking drugs and my children can see it. You're an alcoholic,
so he
you
needs
can
to
separate.
fix himself
Fantastic.
first. So when the children knows that daddy is going to go and fix himself, he can't be a father to you right now because he's undergoing some kind of a therapy or rehabilitation until then, you know. But there's got to be communication at the end of the day. But let me come to you, BC. You know, as I said, I would like to believe the best of women who take these decisions. That it's not because they just want to be mean, because they feel that their children, some want to just be mean, absolutely. Let's acknowledge that. There are some women that don't want to be mean. But how does somebody who has a deadbeat man, who has never for one day taken care of these children, done anything economically to develop these children, how do you as a woman reconcile that with him raising the children as a father or being that emotional? Because he loves his children. They are his. He actually loves them. He doesn't just have the capacity to raise them, either because he's struggling with himself or doing something that's having issues. But he would love to, even just to come and play with them, see how they look like him or see how they laugh like him. Just something. Why do we find it hard to give them that kind of access?
So you knew he didn't have the capacity to take care of his children. You knack.
He didn't know now. How
Okay,
will
you know life.
You know
What
life
happens in
happens
between?
to you.
If it happens in between, what about the good sides? He mustn't have everything 100% all the time.
Yeah.
So you started very well. He was hands-on. He was caring for you. He was giving you everything you needed for the children. And then life happens. You now divorce him. That's another level of wickedness that we are not even going to go into today. You would understand that this is just a phase. We will go through this. We'll get out of this. But I will not say he's now a bad person because he can no longer pay the bills. Why am I there? I support him. We're supposed to be a team. We work together. So that's one case. This one, there's no excuse for that. Then there are some, because I have someone close to me who it happened to. She knew from the beginning that this guy was deadbeat in the relationship. He did not bring, in fact, when I started hearing gist, she was even the one that paid for her own wedding. She did everything by herself. This guy is lazy. It's not like you have potential, but you've not blown. He's full-blown lazy. He doesn't want to wake up very early in the morning. He doesn't want to move. If he does any small thing and they, you know, how your bosses will scream at you, he will just tell them, I'm going. And then he comes home because he knows the wife is doing all in her power to make sure. So she knew. She get one belle, get second one. The third belle, I was upset. It's not like I didn't want her to get pregnant, but I said, you know the situation. We are practically contributing to help you raise these two kids. You are adding another one. Then afterwards, the thing scattered. And now the guy is now full-blown deadbeat. And you come back and complain. You already know. But I told her, I said, if this guy wants to see his kids, what you can do is maybe make an arrangement. They can go with your sister. He sees them for a day, and they come back home. Because you cannot deprive him of seeing his children. He never pretended to you that he was a good guy before. He showed you himself from the beginning.
So that's where we're
why
going.
Are you seizing his children from him?
That's where we're going. Where even he has the person has the worst qualities. How does a woman? Because it's not easy for you to say, my sister, follow and go and meet that deadbeat. It's always difficult for a woman to make that kind of decision.
It's easy for you to open leg. We need to be picking our hustles. If you want to go all the way with somebody you know is not capable, please close your mind and go all the way.
These men don't come like that now. They come.
Did you hear this one I just gave you now?
I understand this one.
I'm taking this example now to say she knew from the beginning, from the time they were toasting her, even at the restaurant they go and buy something, she will be the one to pay for the toasting instruments. Now, she knew. And all of a sudden, you want to seize his kids. You knew. It was easy for you to open leg, but it was not easy for you to allow him.
So for me, I'd like to say that a deadbeat dad is not necessarily someone who is not only about someone who cannot be financially there. You have to also be emotionally there. Because as you have mentioned, life happens. One day you're good, you're taking care of all the bills. And another time, you know, something happens. But in your downtime, are you still being a father? Are you still there for them? Are you still able to, okay, since things are so hard for us, you're working, I'll do the school runs. I'll do other things. I'll show up for them in some ways. I'm there. I'll be the assistant coach at their football coaching, whatever. You know, I am there. I may not be able to give them money, but my presence is felt. And even this reminds me of a conversation recently that I saw on Twitter about someone who was saying that, you know what, I've seen the way parenting is going these days. And many people, when they talk about their mothers, they talk about how they were present. And we don't really talk about our father. We don't really show that love towards our fathers. Meanwhile, these men were out there trying to get the money so that our mothers can be present.
Yeah.
And so he said for him going forward, he will be present the same as if she's present 30%, he'll be present the same time. If she's present, 50-50, he will not be the parent that they say, oh, I will tell your father. So he's only seen as the disciplinarian, the one that is never there, the one that you cannot approach. They want to be present too. They want, when their children in many years to come, talk about their parents. They don't only talk about how the mother was there. They want to say, my dad was there. And because of the way parenting has been, although I think it's changing now, we've never, maybe our parents never used to see their fathers. They would just, in fact, they did not even know that the fathers provided, because they want something for school or anything, you tell your mom, your mom is the mediator or intermediary, she meets the father. But younger parents are saying, I want them to know that I am there as well. I will work, and I'll also be present. I'll be there for their situation.
That even a deadbeat dad can bring, because he at some point, as he grows older, he realizes the mistakes he's made. He realizes all my colleagues, all my friends, my counterparts are doing this and doing that. I'm at this situation right now in my life. I have 2 kids or 4 kids that I've not even provided for. At some point, they come around to begin to retrace their steps. Sometimes they don't, but when they do, sometimes. Therefore, the woman who has been doing all the work, should she be willing to give them that opportunity whenever they now finally come around? Because a lot of women feel that I have suffered 20 years to raise this kid alone. You took 20 years to come around. Now you're around, you want to be a father. That is a problem to some women. But others will say, no matter whenever it comes around, even if they're 60.
It's your father.
He's the father. He comes around. Let him do the work he wants to do.
Because you're not threatened. Your position is not threatened.
That's what they need to know. Yes. I like that.
I have been there. And whoever comes and goes, I am the solid rock that you can rely on.
Remember that story I told you about that woman whose children, they planned their father's 60th birthday.
Yes.
So that was a fear for her, because she felt that these boys that she has raised by herself, are about to be taken by their father, who wasn't there.
Always.
Have you thought about mothers that are, it's easier to even forget mothers that are mean, that would forget you and move on, and yet children I think there's a need physiologically for us to want to be associated with our own parents and forgive them. We're very forgiving of our parents.
Blood.
So, but we also are not foolish human beings, We also know who has been there, who has paid the price, who has made the sacrifices. So even for a short time, we will be caught up in the allure of, father is back, my mom is back. But we know, we fade, and we will start asking you the real questions. You will not be able to show up in the ways that, the has shown up.
All right, let me go on a quick break. We're going to come back and take a few phone calls and we'll wrap up. So I was going to flip the conversation, because I don't want to have an assumption that only women automatically know how to raise
better
children,
parents.
Better parents.
No, of course not.
But you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to just give you a short story. So I have this, around that area of this particular friend I just did the last time. So she has been raising this girl. The girl is 18 now. And so the father started reconnecting with her. And at her 18th birthday, the father came and gave her a phone. Brand new iPhone. Then she was upset. She came to my place. She said, I've been suffering for this girl. The father has not contributed a dime. I paid the fees. I paid it. All of a sudden, the father is now the love of her life. She wants to talk to him all the time. He now came and gave her a phone without my consent, because she had planned she wasn't going to give her a phone till she gets into the university. And now this man just comes and gives her a phone, and the girl is,
he's buying her love.
Yes. And I told her, calm down. Allow this girl to process. After this first euphoria of my father just came back and all that, allow her to process. Do not stop her from seeing her father. Things will settle. There will be a time that she will need things and she will ask him and he will not be able to provide. And she will need him here or need him there. And he will not show up because that's who he is. So calm down.
I like that, but what do you do with the phone in the meantime?
She couldn't seize it because...
So that's where we have to have the conversation.
Yes. So the thing is, after a while, she allowed the child to use the phone. Wait, now it didn't take long. After like 6 months, the girl needed to go back to school. She needed this, she needed presents, she needed the man disappeared the way he came, and the girl came crying that, oh, is this what you have been going through? Uma said, no, you will still see more. He will appear again and give you another phone
Nigerian
after many years. He was, so I want as parents, whether you're a mother or a father, relax in your place. If the man comes back and is capable of getting back into his role, you rest now. You have done your own. Allow the child to process the information. They will never forget you.
That's a fantastic point, but I'd like us to address the phone issue, because the truth is that when a parent even comes back, before you start giving out gifts, we must discuss.
We must have a conversation.
How do we parent this child? What are the rules we have? She's 14 years old. We don't do phones. You know, these are little things. Out of respect for you, little. He also needs to ask you, I want to give her a phone. What are your thoughts? Should I give her the phone? What, you know? So these are responsible conversations we should have. But I was going to flip it.
Okay.
It's important for us to flip it because, as I said, let's not assume that because maternal instincts makes us feel like, oh, every woman just takes care of her child automatically. In fact, some courts can be biased, where the woman just has to cry one small cry. I'll be taking it. I want this. I want custody. Before you know it, the judge will be empathetic and give you custody. Many have accused women of being deadbeat mothers too.
Oh, yeah.
Or have they been irresponsible mothers? They are more interested in starting a whole new life, in a whole new relationship, or being careless with their boyfriends or careless with stuff they do, that they're not raising these children. So these are real situations. How do we therefore help a man who desperately wants to have access to his children, who wants to raise his children, but the mother who has the emotional connection, you know, family, everybody say, I live with their children, now he means that the mother. It's difficult for him to have access. What do we say about that situation to a man?
We will say to the woman, because if it's a man that, you know, in this case, is a willing father, we'll talk to the woman and we'll talk to families involved and say that they have to do everything possible to make sure that he can have access to the children. I was just going to use her example. Sometimes a father wants to raise his child a certain way, and they're co-parenting, right? And he drops the children off with the mother. And by the time he comes back, she's put relaxers in their hair. Maybe they're wearing some fashion styles that he feels it's not appropriate for me, you know, right now, for my children right now. And it's a serious bone of contention. And to the point that, you know, the children are trying to choose who is doing this because they love me or who is just trying to make life difficult for me. And I think that is the core of the matter. That's what makes parenting or co-parenting a serious issue. And that's why I'm saying that, you know, with courts, I don't know how enforceable it is here in Nigeria, but from what we see abroad, they seem to have, you know, things laid out. And even the structure, you know, they're still here and there that they have some issues, but still it's better to have like a structure. Conversations about your child decisions you want to make about your children has to be had with the parents. And one of the reasons you have these issues, even in marriage, is that you do not have respect for the other parents' view about the way you want to raise your child. Your own is your way or the highway, as they say it. You have to have that conversation. You have to remember it's not about us. It's about this child and their well-being. I know a lot of us watch this Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and we remember Kanye West says he didn't like his daughter being on TikTok, didn't like her using makeup at that early stage. And you have a mother who is saying, it's not a big deal. It's just makeup. It's just TikTok. Kids are on there, and it's a huge issue. And he was saying that society tends to look more kindly to women, the mothers than the fathers, even fathers who are willing to show up. And it's the truth. We just assume that mothers are better parents because they carried them. But sometimes we do have mothers who are not, you know, the better parent. And so we have to have like a parameter to tell which parent is better, not just by your gender, but how do you show up and what is your plan for your child, and to make sure that you are protecting your child's health, safety, and, you know,
I think I like this. I like the way this conversation is going, because we need to have a situation whereby we are normalizing this kind of conversations between divorcees. People have different values. One father, one mother might be trying to buy love, because it's easy for you to say, you see a teenager. Teenagers want to do so many things. The parents you're with will say, no, you can't wear this. But then your other parent calls you, gives you bikinis, gives you, relax your hair, put stuff in your hair, and you're thinking they're the best parents ever. So this is why we need to formalize it. Where
Yes.
let it be a somewhat formal will. How do we agree to raise these children? What are the rules and regulations? The way wherever he or she goes, she knows that it's the same rules we're following in both houses, because we have daddy's girlfriend trying to win your heart, buy you stuff.
Yeah.
We have mommy's boyfriend trying to win your heart, buy you stuff, or take you places where you ordinarily wouldn't go.
Yeah.
So these are confusing times also.
Yeah, so you're also assuming that the both parents are responsible people.
Yeah.
No be person wey get sense now. No be person wey get sense. You go sit down, they discuss how do we raise these children. Some parents are not there. They don't give you belly, they don't move. They are not there. They are not reason. They just want to show up once in a while with the small money they have hustled somewhere, buy something, destabilize the whole system and the whole structure. Because every child has a structure, what they are used to. And then when this new parent comes in, you just destabilize some things and disappear again. Marriage, they say, is for people that are wise. It's not for children. So we must, before we enter this thing, ask ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. Some women know that on a normal day, if not that God just knows how to just dash people children, they are not supposed to have. They know that they cannot take care of their children. So if you know as a woman and you want the best for your children, if you have to leave, why you not pack it and give their papa? Don't say because I'm the woman, I will suffer you. I would have to be the one in charge of the children. I may carry them for my womb for 9 months, and then you know that you do not have the emotional capacity to take care of these children alone. Why don't you be truthful to yourself and give either the children to the extended family or give them to your husband? Your husband may have a better structure with maybe the new wife, and they can raise these kids. So can we learn to let go when we cannot do it? It starts from
That's
there.
where the courts should come in.
Yes, because women hold on.
The courts happen in the Western world, but here we
we've
have
not really
families.
gotten. Yes.
We have families, just like you said earlier.
you know
Grandparents.
yourself.
I had a boss who, when she had a child, when she was 16, and it was a really devastating time for her. She really wanted to go on with her life, to go to university, and her mother took on the child and raised that child.
Very well.
All through her life, the boy thought, all through his life, she thought that his mom was his auntie, was his mom's younger sister or something like that. And he was raised, it was after he became a full adult that he was formally then introduced that this is actually your mother. But she went on because she knew she didn't have the emotional responsibility. The father, on the other hand, was one of those over deadbeat. That was qualified deadbeat from day one. That one never even showed up. I don't know what the story is now today, but he just was never in the picture. Now, to help her father, stayed in the gap as a father figure for that boy. So traditionally,
yes,
as
we
part
had
of the
that
courts that we
system.
had, we had a system in place that we used to help to raise kind of these situations. Let me take JB. Good morning, JB. Are you there? Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
You're live.
So the problem that I see is that there is not sufficient attention to counseling in various aspects of our life. Breaking up is a traumatic event, and it needs counseling. A lot of the times when you see people, mothers preventing father from seeing children after breakup, father prevents doing the same thing, or each of them setting the child against the other parent, it's as a result that they are still hurting. And I think that counseling will go a long way in dealing with these things.
Fantastic.
Now, where counseling doesn't do it, there is the family court system in Lagos State, where you don't have to even go through the route of divorce. You go to the family court, and the family court, 3 people sitting, will make orders relating to the welfare of the children and visitation rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, while he was talking, something just dropped in my heart. I saw a post recently says that God hates divorce, but not the divorcee. And the reason why that post was interesting because the church has refused to counsel, as you just said, on divorcees. Because God hates divorce. They don't even want to hear it. They'd rather you stay in the marriage. And just, even if you're not dying there, whatever reason why you want to leave. But the church, I don't know about for Islam. I'm not very privy to how that is done. But within the religious space that I know, because the church hates divorce and God hates divorce, they don't even want to hear that you separated. So all the only counseling they are doing is to bring you back.
Stay there. Yeah.
But there are some that it is you can't go back. It's irreconcilable differences. You just said I'm done. Now the church also must institute some kind of a framework to help you in that space where, okay, I am separated from this person.
Help you
whatever
heal.
reason we are not getting back together, sir. That is it. Final.
have children.
Now, how do we ensure that Oga is called, I am called, and we discuss how we raise his children? Because the church needs to get involved in how,
Yes,
because
so.
people are very influenced by the pastors and the word of God. So we need to find ways, even though, yes, God hates divorce, but he doesn't hate the divorcee. And he doesn't hate the
God
children.
will bless this person
doesn't
that
hate
just said
you
this.
as a human being. So he's going to help you to put together some kind of system that will help you and the children to have an emotional, strong well-being.
Poor pastors. I go to
They're
them
feeling for
and
them.
Let me take this call out.
the Bible said no divorce. Now we are now counseling divorces.
I'm saying-
the married women will now say, hey, is that what, you know?
But you see,
but
we have-
what you said is
Let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there? Abosede. You and Yakub are getting pretty popular. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
You know, I just want to say something to this aspect of, you know, it's not, there are so many women that are not mentally stable to raise these children. I run a school, and I know what I see from women. Most times, you see the women bringing their children to school. And when you see the value and the things they are inculcating in the child, you will know that they are not, most of them are not even divorced. They are still in marriage, but they are not stable. They are not, they don't even have the value, the moral value to raise children. Honestly, I pity men. I have a son, and every time I look at him, I pray for him, and I you know, every time I wish we could have a better parenting. This young lady of these days, most of them, I don't know, they are not really grounded. They are not really taking instruction from home. And so they just rush into marriage, and the way they rush into marriage, they don't have what it takes to raise children. And when government can come into place.
Thank you, Abosede.
You know,
I think
decide.
in this case, I will agree with government. You know, because me, I'm not one to always blame government. I try to always see that government can be good.
Yeah.
But in this situation, we need government, because in other countries, when you notice a child, maybe her diaper is always soiled or she's having scars,
Rashes
they
all over.
immediately they inform the social worker.
Immediately.
Social worker comes to ask questions. Why is it that your child is coming to school every day scarred? And those kind of things, that's how we now know, okay, are you a mother? Are you a mother that can raise this child? That's where the state comes in to intervene. But we don't have that kind of system.
And
So
take the
we
child
need
away from
government. Now, say, this time, in this matter,
You know-
we need proper systems created by our government to help protect these
This
children.
line of thought just reminded me of a situation. I'm not going to name the person. They're divorced, and he says he noticed that the child is still in diapers, but he noticed that whenever he picks up the child, covered in rashes, like really bad rashes, take them to the hospital, and the doctors said that maybe whoever is
Hygiene.
caring for this, the person is not really paying attention to the hygiene of this child, you know. But I remember when it was told to me, I said, oh, Ripa, I've started again. Do you know if she was doing this? You know, always making excuses, which also reminds me of a person I was trying. There was a time I was looking for a lesson teacher for my child, and while I was interviewing a few of them, there was a man I interviewed, and I don't know how the questions got there, but I was saying, like, what sort of children do you normally have issues with? He said, to be honest, children of single mothers. I felt upset in my mind, like he generalized, like, so I didn't use him. But then, without now looking at it now, just taking away the generalization, which is, could it be single mothers are so overwhelmed? Let's not even talk about just mindset of maybe they were divorced or something, just maybe overwhelmed with doing things that both parents are supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
That they cannot pay close attention to the children. If and I believe if we have single mothers here and we ask them, they may, you know, they'll be willing to open up. The sort of help that a single mother needs from her friends. She wants someone to be able to say, okay, can you help me to pick up the child from school because I'll still be at work and I know that she's here and we'll have lunch after school. You know, women, especially in Lagos, I feel the life is so chaotic. You have to be many things at the same time. So it may not be like a bitter mother or a woman who's not mentally there, but just overwhelmed with trying to raise money to help, bring up the family.
Yeah, and it's very true. You just need to understand where you are in the scheme of things. You want to take a phone?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Understand where you are in the scheme of things. I remember when I was shooting Mami Jiro in January. That was the first time I was going to be doing something that heavy, and Oga was out of the country. I felt it. I was overwhelmed. I would go on set, I would do my work, I'll get home like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., the kids have gone to bed. Sometimes they will wait for me because they are used to seeing a parent before going to bed. They will refuse. Even when my housekeepers will say, it's time to go to bed, you're going to school, they say, no, we are waiting for our mommy. They will not listen to them. They wait till I come. And that's when I start looking at homework and I broke down. After like 2 weeks, because we're there for like a month, I broke down. Like, I can't do this alone. And I begged him. I said, don't travel this period. I'm getting into work. So sometimes it can be really overwhelming. And because you want to, on one hand, be superwoman, you keep pushing. We will do it. They know they use suffer. They proud though. If it's too much for you, you can't ask for help. I can't do all of these things. And it's okay. It doesn't mean you are less of a woman. It just means you understand your strengths and your weaknesses and you need help.
Let me take this call from London. Ine, good morning. Thanks for calling. Ine, are you there?
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Dele, not Ine.
Oh, Dele, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I've been married once and I'm married again. Okay. What you are saying, I would like to say, when divorce or separation comes, you find out that even if the man wants to really help after separation, the woman will not allow it. I will give you an example. When I got separated before I got divorced, I would go to my children's school to just, have a chat to see how they were doing. And then, at a certain point, my separated wife then just left a message as good as I shouldn't be allowed to see those children. I did not know. I went to the school, and you know what? My child ran away from me. He went and hid beside the teacher. Now, a grown man, I was just left there, transfixed, crying. The teacher knew me. He knows me very well. And he said, Mr. Dele, look, I know you are the father, but because your wife or your separated wife accepts a notice for us that they shouldn't allow me to see the child.
Mr. Dele, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
What was the nature of your separation with your wife? Was it based on domestic violence or something that she felt threatened by you coming close to the kids might be endanger the lives of these children?
Not really. You see, that time, I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to put my hands up. You see, we were young. We were young, and I think what really happened probably, I would put it down, financial is there. And then we weren't experienced enough at the office. Okay, some other factors you may say, but those are the major ones.
Right.
So even here in the United Kingdom, the women play a major role. If the woman says this, you have to abide with it.
Right. All right.
Financial.
I think he was talking about also the fact that they were really young, and so maybe, as we know, with most young couples.
In a country like that, I mean, we call it a matriarch because the women have rights. In the West, I mean, they will tell you if you want to be empowered as a woman, that's where you need to live because a woman usually, most often than not, wins a case when it comes to this in this kind of issues. It's not a patriarchy where the men always have their way, but more women have their way, many in the West. So a man like this, who wants to raise his children? But the woman has said, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you access. Now, I was going to ask him, unfortunately, he got disconnected, if he gave it time. Because sometimes when a woman is emotionally down, she can be irrational in her thinking. So maybe if we give her space to heal from this separation, maybe at some time she will come around to allow you to have access. Now, the question is, how much time does a woman need to get over such a traumatic relationship she may have had with her spouse?
How traumatic is this relationship? Because I heard financial, if we're somewhere now, I would have quizzed him and asked him more questions. I think the mindset when you're getting into marriage is very important. And that's why we say sit down and talk about your values. Talk about what you hold there. One of the things that me and Oga cleared from beginning is the fact that family is priority. Family before any other thing. No matter how far I'm flying, and Oga says, put a stop. Our family needs attention. Sweetie, I'm going to do that because it's one of my priorities. And it's like my top list priority. And it's top list for him too. So whatever issues come, whether tomorrow the money finishes, whether this, the only thing I've said here before, and I'm going to say it again, is domestic abuse that me, I cannot take. But any other thing, because we put family first, we can always talk about it.
There's something he said I want you to go to.
Okay.
This man said they were young. You see, I've always been an advocate.
Yeah. Of marrying.
I hate young marriages. I'm not that I hate it, but I always feel like you're not ready. Because
I think it's inadvisable.
Personally, it's my own personal. But although people say marry at 20, 22, that's the right time, it's fine. But I personally think you're not ready emotionally. You're saying they're young because whether you like it or not, you face real life issues when you now enter the marriage. Are you mature enough to be able to withstand the intricacies of these kind of decisions?
Yeah, so in talking about age, some of us married early too. And that was what society expected at the time. So once you graduate from school, the next thing is question. Hey, where is the guy? When are you bringing the guy? When are you getting married? You have a job now. When are you getting married? You know, so a lot of us went into marriage very young, but we went into marriage knowing what we wanted. And that doesn't also mean that if you get into marriage as a mature person, you will not have issues. It's about knowing that I want this marriage and I will do whatever it takes to keep it. I want to raise a home. So people like us that came from broken homes already had an idea of how not to be, how I don't want to replicate what I had growing up this way. And so I was very particular, though I was really young, but I was very particular about the kind of person I was getting into business with and the kind of home I wanted to raise. And I'm still working on it. It's deliberate for me. But sometimes when you come from the home where you don't have first-hand experience of how polygamy runs and how dysfunctional a home can be, you may just feel, let me get into the marriage. You're not really prepared for what comes out of it.
Let's not equate polygamy with dysfunctional, please. There's some very functional polygamy.
Yes, yeah, of course, but my own was not functional.
We have any comments?
Yes, I have Bilkis Morayo who says, I don't subscribe to women fencing off their ex-husbands or partners from gaining access to their kids, but there are men who deny the pregnancy before it even becomes a full human.
That's another
it can
angle.
swing both ways. Some relationships end in a sad state and spill into parenting.
Yeah, so Ola the Classic says, Morayo, I slightly disagree with you. Some churches are actually putting counseling, both premarital and the cause of marriage, in place, but a lot of people do not show up for the counseling. Andrew says...
Talking about after marriage.
Yes.
Separation.
So she went ahead to say, people do not regard counseling and counselors. Some people feel like counseling is only necessary when things are bad, and when things go wrong, they still don't go for the counseling. Dame Ebika says, parenthood is hard, even with both parents, not to talk of single parenting.
Let me talk about the counseling the first person reads. I want to be sure that we're clear on the same page. Counseling absolutely happens in church before you get married, even during marriage. What I'm saying is counseling after the marriage divorce has been separated. So, as I said, many religious bodies hate divorce, especially Christianity. They don't like you divorcing at all. So there's really no framework to help a couple that are divorced. And that's why we have lots of situations whereby a woman can decide the man is not coming to the children, or the husband can decide the woman is not seeing the children, and nobody's able to mediate to ensure that both parties our focus on the well-being of the children. So
Yeah.
we need the churches who actually have influence
Yeah.
over people to get involved in this issue.
Yeah,
Of
so
divorce.
Faith actually responds to say some churches are involved. Mine is, we have a fellowship group for separated, divorced, and widowed,
Fantastic.
where they need help. Advice and counsel is given to them.
It's good. Rabia Tabas says, good morning, beautiful ladies of your view. It is not easy with the woman. Most of these men are not responsible. If the woman is involved in domestic abuse or threat to life, let her be financially capable to take care of the children.
Thank you, Morayo, for this
Rabia
topic.
Tabas.
I have not seen my husband in 6 years, but because of your conversation today, I'll put a call to him to see how he can discuss with his children. So I'm happy.
that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
beautiful.
The name is, let me not mention the name, but thank you so much for this message. I mean, that's the objective of this conversation, because you might, that's a question you guys have not answered. How long? Because we have to sulk. Me, I like to sulk. When something happens to me,
You know they sulk
I need
past 2
time
weeks.
to sulk and, just to be
2 weeks, 2
what was
weeks,
this thing?
Morayo.
How did it, what exactly, But as a woman, when this kind of way a divorce happens, you need time to reevaluate what happened.
Yeah.
Did I cause it? What did I do to start it? What did he do? What are the signs I missed? You need time to really heal. But how much time should the woman get to heal before I can trust this man within 10 steps for me to even come and see these children? Because it's a really huge emotional strain when you see a man who has hurt you so bad, start coming into your space to talk to children which you are single-handedly raising. It's not an easy decision.
It's not
for a woman.
easy, and that's why the courts and families, like we say here in Africa, are involved. Because sometimes your children's well-being cannot wait for you to sulk for as long as you need to sulk and heal. So what you find is parents or other members of your family, don't be angry. Don't worry, just drop them in my house. When he sees that, I'll bring them to you. So that they're giving you an opportunity to solve. If you don't have that support system, then you end up in court where the court will insist, well, sorry, you're feeling bad, but these children also need the other parent, and so they will see the parent. So what you find parents do, or spouses in that situation, especially the one that is still sulking, don't come to my house and pick them. We'll meet at a neutral place. I will drop them, carry them.
Let me take Aisha from London. Good morning, Aisha. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Morayo.
You're live. Welcome to the show, Aisha. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So, with the discussion, the topic on ground, that resonates so well with me because I was married and we had issues. And while I was in Nigeria, my husband wasn't even, contributing to the upkeep of my daughter. And there was a lot of bigger issue with the family. So when I left, even when I left, whatever I done to my daughter, I would say, oh, you know what, your dad spent money for this, your dad spent money for your birthday. But that's not true. You understand? But when my daughter grew up and she started talking one-to-one with the father, she started to realize that he wasn't, giving her any support. You understand? Yeah. And I tell you, whenever we visit, he never comes to see my daughter in Nigeria. I did never get to see. He's got children. He's not going to introduce them. He's not introduced my daughter to meet the other children. So he's feeling like, do you know what? I don't want any relationship with a man like this. And she once asked me what happened between you and my mom. And he said, we set up, but things didn't work out, so we had to go our separate ways. And she goes, how would you feel if a man treats your own daughter the way you have treated my mother? Do you understand? So sometimes it's not all about the women not wanting the children to have a relationship with their husband, with their father. That's not true. Sometimes the women put all effort in, but the men just don't want to be. Exactly. And for other reasons, you understand, maybe, okay, family don't want me. I know I had issues. They didn't want him to marry me. They wanted him to marry someone else that speaks the same language,
Thank you, Aisha. That's a fantastic angle because Aisha's story is such that maybe the man never wanted her to, the family never wanted her to marry, he wanted him to marry Aisha, for example. So maybe they had a child and then he marries somebody else and then he's focused. So the entire support system is supporting this new wife. So this woman now is a single mother struggling to raise her child. Now the child is growing up to try to find a relationship with the father, and the man is not even getting involved. She's like the child that he doesn't even want to know that existed. So in that situation, how do you force an Aisha to ensure that she has a father figure. So there's a situation where that the man is not even interested.
Yeah. So you count your losses and go. Sometimes it's a lose-lose situation and there's nothing you can do about it. He may come around when the girl is about to get married or not. He may still not come around till he dies, but you need to know when to count your losses. What we are saying here is when the person is making an effort to be in the life, you must not deprive them. Now, we talked about sulking. It's okay to sulk for 15 years. It's your sulking, it's your heart, it's your emotions, it's your body. These things manifest in your health later on. So they always advise, try as much as possible to move on from it. But it's okay if you choose not to move on from it. But you can be sulking and doing the right thing at the same time. You just have to, at this point, pause your sulking, apply logic. What are the needs of my child? Do they need to have a relation? I'm still sulking. It's not like I've forgiven you. I don't want to forgive you. It's okay. But my children, do they need to have a relationship with their father at this time? And when they're done, they come back home, you continue your sulking, but try not to transfer the frustration to the children in raising them. And that's why they say move on as quickly as you can, because the truth is, this is from experience, where you are raising a child that probably one of the parents has abandoned, you transfer the aggression on that child. You think the child has become your problem. So if a plate breaks in the kitchen, for instance, that you would normally scold little and move on, you see that you're saying, that's how your father left you. That's how this one happened. That's how your village people, nobody has given me 50 kobo. I've been the one raising you from the beginning to the end. I've been the one doing this for just one plate that broke in the kitchen, which otherwise you would have reacted differently if you were not in that situation. Now, these children carry that frustration and think that is how life is, and it affects them even in adulthood. So if you can, for the sake of your children, forgive fast and move on so that you can be in a healthy place to raise the children that you have.
Okay, I'll come to you in a second. Let me take Jehoshaphat's call from Dokpemu. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're live.
Good morning,
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, this topic of separation, it's really an interesting topic to me.
Thank you.
Why? Because I happen to be a victim of this. I have a daughter of 8 years. But last year, the mom took her away from me. We were living married for 7 years. So while she was taken away, I made all frantic efforts to know where they are. They refused to tell me and all that. But because I lost so much love my daughter, I was spending money to her mom's account, wherever where she was, that I did not even know, so that I could feel better. Because the mom here is a civil servant, while I'm into IT, I work from home. So I know that financially she was balanced, but she was not this type that she could not take care of a child. Yes, I knew that. So being that I took over that responsibility of being there for the child, and being a girl child, we so much were glued to each other. So when this separation took place, this time I was feeling for the child, because I know how much he went whenever I got around. So 8 months down the line, we went to Alausa, and she was asked to bring the child back. And so the child was brought back, and then now, long story short, I'm taking care of the child now, though she's giving custody. But yet, it's, frustrating the effort of me seeing the child. Because I will see the child now, I have so much feel for this child, because she has lost a lot.
So that's where the system comes in.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm happy with the way we can say that there's a system, a court system that you can go to, and they will resolve issues like that.
So someone was saying that one of the reasons why some women prevent kids from their father is simply because some use it as an avenue to get back to the woman by polluting the mind of the kids. Some actually, this goes both ways also. Others say that they use in some situations, men use seeing the children as a decoy to get these women back. Because seeing the kids regularly might amount to them seeing the spouse regularly. From there, emotion could spring up. So, and women are trying to protect themselves. I have moved on from you. Don't try to come back. I don't want you to come back into my life. So they don't stop the relationship. But there are other ways of doing that where we
know
can
some
have a
women-
middle ground where you
some-
meet.
Some women look for fake boyfriends so that when you now see a man open their yes, can I help you?
You will kill your emotions. Some other persons, wrote that sometimes when a woman doesn't want the man to have access to the children may not be his.
That's a whole topic.
Children may not be his.
Yeah, some people
But let me take this call. I have another call. Good morning. Are you there? Oh, I'm so sorry. We lost that call. All right. So, I mean, these are the various situations that are bringing up. But I wanted to go back to one of our last callers, Aisha, that was saying, where the man has totally abandoned you. Yeah. You said you should count your losses, but sometimes it's difficult to count your losses when you are then being, as a society, being judged as a single mother, not given access. But you've tried to get access. So how do you therefore count your loss? Oh, well, I should just accept the fact that my child is going to be raised without her father figure, and also her father's family. This way, a whole family have abandoned you. That please, that child, you can call the child a bastard. You can call the child lots of things that she wasn't married. That child wasn't born in wedlock. There are so many families like that are very vicious.
So let me tell
that
you.
kind of been abandoned. How do you move forward?
Well, now we'll see why, sometimes when we're here discussing, we'll talk about the traditional way of doing things, or our heart and our love. And then when our parents call us aside and say, Auntie, are you hearing? These are the things, I know that love happens, you connect with someone, but I believe strongly that the reasons we have some of the institutions we have is because women especially have gone through a lot in the past. So the institutions are here to protect you. If you were married and you had a certificate, I know the in thing says it's not a certificate that binds us. It's our feelings for each other. But if you had a certificate of marriage, it's able to give you access to your rights. Yeah. If you have, and that means your child's name the child's father's name can be put on the certificate or not. Anyway, I'm just trying to say that sometimes when we're advised to wait until marriage, it's because of situations like this. If you're already married, the court knows it, your names are on it, then, or else, the truth is you have to count your losses. Yeah. There are situations where men say, I was in a relationship with her, but it was agreed that there was a child was not supposed to come out of this relationship. She knew that this relationship was not unto marriage. She was aware. We have also heard women who say, if only I have a child for him, it will connect us. Yeah. Why do we say to women, don't bring child into a relationship that, there's no commitment? So there are different things. So I'm not calling out Aisha and saying that maybe that's the issue. I'm just saying the honest truth is after a while, you have to count your losses. Yeah. That child will have to be raised. We've talked about what sort of things should a parent tell a child. Maybe raised, in the first few years of our life to think that the father is just somewhere and will be back soon. As the child grows up, the child will ask questions and you have to be honest. If the whole, in her own situation, it's not just the father that is refusing to be there, even the family. Really, yeah. So they do not recognize that child. But that that would not affect your child's destiny, your child's fate. Your child will still grow up to be a wonderful human being, and she will be successful, and they will look for her. And if they don't, she will be happy. She will have her own children. You'll be a grandmother too. You start your own whole generation, and you'll be happy. You even forget that person ever existed.
Okay, we have to wrap up, but I'd like to end with this. As much as we always try to say you need a father figure, a mother figure, but sometimes if you don't have it, you can still survive. You will be all right. Single mothers who have raised amazing children. Yeah. Single fathers raised amazing children, and they didn't have any support from the other sexes. So it is a very possible fact that you can single-handedly raise your children. Yeah, and there was a video. There's another video that I saw that really blessed me. I think I sent it to you guys too. The guy was holding a note, like a 20-pound note, and he squished it, and said, what is this?
The value remains.
He spat on it. What is this? 20 pounds. He ripped it in the tray. Stabbed it on the floor. It's still 20 pounds. No matter how you squeeze this thing. Yeah. The same thing as a woman. No matter how you're squeezed, bashed, bruised by any man, you're still a mother. The same child, you were raised without a father, raised without a mother, raised without this. You are still
doesn't mean anything,
no matter
baby.
What, you still have value. That 20 pound will still buy what the 20 pound will buy because of how much you bashed it. So then don't let the situations around us or the circumstances of our growth, our birth, or our conditions define who we are. You are valued. The fact that you're born and you're raised. As a human being, you are valued.
Amazing, darling.
Lovely. I love what you just said.
That's all we can take into this show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
This show?
Yeah. It's finished.